Tomodachi and Yuujin both mean friends, but they have different nuances. Tomodachi is a common everyday word for people this lonely girlie doesn't have. Friends. You can say, 友達いる? Do you have friends? いない. No, I don't. Or, 昨日友達と遊んだ. I hung out with my friends yesterday. And you can also use this or must and say, 昨日友達と遊びました. I hung out with my friends yesterday. Tomodachi is pretty useful when somebody wants to be a boyfriend or girlfriend because you're definitely not unpopular and you want to friend zone them. You can say, 友達のままでいたい. I want us to stay friends. Happens all the time, right? Or when your coworker saw you with a guy or girl and you want to say, they're just friends. You can say, 嘘じゃないです。ただの友達です.
I'm not lying. They're just a friend.
So we use tomodachi all the time like that. Now, let's talk about Yuujin, which is a more formal word for friends. This is something you'd use in formal speeches, essays, or apology videos. Now, in typical everyday situation, we'd use tomodachi, like when you're talking to your coworker during lunch. You can say, この前友達とカラオケに行きました. I went to sing karaoke with my friend the other day. But in a more formal situation, like giving a speech at the wedding because you totally have a close friend who invites you to the wedding, you might say something like, 先日、友人とカラオケに行きました. The other day, I went to karaoke with my friend. This sounds pretty formal. I use the word 友人, which is formal, and I also use the word 先日, the other day, which sounds more formal than この前, the other day. So this is the kind of situation where you'd use Yuujin, even though it's totally fine to use tomodachi if you don't want to sound very formal. It's your choice. But if you're just talking to your colleague during lunch, Yuujin might sound too formal. If you say, この前友人とカラオケ行ったんですけどね. Well, actually, I went to karaoke with my friend the other day. This might sound a little too formal. And this kind of thing isn't unique to Japanese. In English, for example, you have words that are similar but of different levels of formality, like buy and purchase, start and commence, ask and inquire. Nothing unusual. But I found this interesting situation where you can't quite replace tomodachi with Yuujin. This sentence, 私たち友達ですよね. We are friends, right? Which sounds like I'm going to ask you if I can borrow money from you. But in this situation, Yuujin wouldn't quite work. Like, 私たち友人ですよね. This sounds a bit weird to me, even though by dictionary definitions it should work. But I can be wrong. Even though I'm a native speaker, I don't know everything. I only know what I know. So I asked other native speakers of Japanese about this, and they also said this doesn't sound quite right. I guess it's because Yuujin is kind of like formal and distant, so when we are talking about us being friends, it might not work very well. Now let's talk about nakama, fellow. Nakama and tomodachi might sound a bit similar, but they're different. Nakama is more like a teammate. For example, when a thief girl becomes part of your team when you're minding your own business of becoming the pirate king, she's your nakama. But she's not necessarily your tomodachi, and she might betray you and sell you to the enemy. You can also use nakama like 仕事仲間, workmates. 仕事 means work. Or 趣味仲間, hobby mates. 趣味 means hobby. This could possibly mean that your interactions with your 仕事仲間 or 趣味仲間 are somewhat limited in the scope of work or your interests. But of course, someone can both be your tomodachi and nakama, just like your stepsister can both be your imoto and girl. So, words like these have some nuances that you can't necessarily learn from dictionaries. Just like this, a lot of examples from textbooks and apps sound too formal in real-life conversations. So if you want to learn natural, everyday Japanese that real-life Japanese people actually write and speak, click on the link in the description and subscribe to my email group.